subscribe, like, comment, and hit the notification.
Hi friends, how are y'all? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Brandy and I follow WW. If you think I'm getting ready to do a grocery haul, you are incorrect. Today is Sunday and I'm going to meal prep. I meal prep a little on Sundays typically. Maybe I'll throw together some boiled eggs or maybe a breakfast sandwich for breakfast. But today I'm doing a big meal prep for me. I'm meal prepping my breakfast, I'm meal prepping a dessert slash snack, and I'm meal prepping 2 dinner meals that are also going to serve as leftovers later in the week. And I'm not meal prepping lunch, and that's because I took the easy way out this week. I'm going to eat some TV dinners. My husband's been eating a lot of Healthy Choice TV dinners, and when I scan them, they're 1 or 2 points, and he swears they're really good. So I'm going to try those this week. I also have like 1 serving of salad left, and I may have some leftovers from these meals too. So let me tell you the plan, and then I'll bring you over here and we'll get to cooking. For the dessert slash snack, this is actually a breakfast recipe. It's a sheet pan oat pancake bake. I've made it before and it has like frozen fruit in it. I didn't prefer it like that. Instead, I'm gonna use the base of this recipe to kind of come up with a banana muffin recipe. And so it's gonna be like not exactly this, but you know, inspiration. And then no recipe for my breakfast. What I'm gonna do is similar when I wrap the bacon around the muffin pans, I'm gonna wrap this ham, mainly because I need to get rid of this ham. It's getting on its last leg. And ham and cheese, egg bites just sounded really, really good to me. And that's always something easy to do, low points that you can really use up whatever's in your fridge. You can see I have some leftover jalapeno, a little bit of diced onion. You can really make egg cups however you want. I'm gonna throw in a pepper as well. So those will be yummy. And then right here is all the ingredients for this lemon chicken, kale, and orzo soup. I'm not sure how many points this is. The last time I made it was many years ago and I wasn't on Weight Watchers. But this soup, I remember it being so delicious and so yummy. So this will just get better the longer it sits. That's how all soups are, right? I do regret not picking up chicken broth at the store. So instead of using chicken broth, I'm gonna have to use this bouillon stuff, which is not my fave, and usually I don't use this. And actually this is freaking beef. I'm gonna have to beg my husband to go to the store. Because actually I need vanilla for over there too, and I was out of vanilla. I'm gonna beg him because I can't use beef and chicken and I need stock. So hopefully he'll go, which I bet he will. But he is watching football. Oh no. And then the last dinner we're gonna make, I'm gonna meal prep, is this chicken with Hatch chili ranch sauce. It is a previous Home Chef meal. Again, I don't know the points on this, but I don't think it'll be too terribly low. It just has butternut squash, chicken with a topping. I think I'm also gonna make some couscous to go with this one as well. So let me go talk to my husband and beg him to go to the store real quick, and then let's get to cooking. We're gonna start with the breakfast because it's the easiest, no-brain prep, get it in the oven going. And then the dessert, because I wanna put them in the oven at the same time and do double duty with my sheet pan. I'm only thinking I'll make like 6 muffins, 6 dessert. So I'll have 6 of those and then probably like 6 egg cups. If I need another muffin tin, I'll pull that out as well.
Egg cups for breakfast are one of my faves, but this is the first time I've ever done them like this, using lunch meat ham. It worked out really well, but to start off with, I just diced up with my chopper some sweet peppers. You could use bell pepper or any type of pepper. Actually, you could really use any veggies you like, and that's typically what I do with egg cups. If you see how I was struggling with my chopper, highly suggest you put it on a more stable platform than I had it. That makes it way more difficult. And then I also had some leftover bell pepper, or I'm sorry, jalapeno pepper. So I went ahead and diced that up as well, just for a little heat. And I already had about 1/4 of a red onion left over, finely diced, in my refrigerator. So I added that to the vegetable mixture as well. You could also use zucchini, mushrooms, like I said, anything you have on hand. Season it with salt and pepper. Make sure you grease your muffin cups. And then I just take 1 slice of the ham. I'm using Columbus ham from Trader Joe's. And you just push it in the muffin tin and try to make the cup as best you can. It does not have to be perfect. The eggs will help it stand up here in a bit, as well as the vegetable in the middle. So I just put a spoonful in each of them and then filled all six. And instead of using normal eggs, I chose to use egg whites this time. I also added a little bit of light mozzarella cheese. You could skip that, but I really was going for the ham, egg, and cheese feel, so I didn't want to skip it here. But the egg whites, I just pour in the direct center of the egg cup until it was filled. A few of them I overflooded. But that's okay. They turned out perfect. These ended up being 2 points for one or 3 points for two, but scan your own ingredients. The recipe for this will be linked down below, although I am making some modifications. The original recipe was for an oat pancake bake, whereas I'm turning it into muffins. But I'm just weighing out 80 grams of old-fashioned oats. And when I decant my ingredients like this, I keep the barcode and the cooking information with it so that I can scan it in later for Weight Watchers. But I'm just going to take these and blend them up. Obviously, you could use oat flour, but I don't have oat flour, so I just use whole oats. And I'm being super lazy and doing it in my coffee bean grinder rather than pulling out my blender. And it does it really well. You just pulse it a few times. It doesn't take long at all. And then to my oats flour, I'm just adding a small thing of yogurt. It is a low fat yogurt, but it's not like fat free or Greek or anything like that. I did add some cinnamon just to season it up. If you had vanilla, I'd also add vanilla, but somehow I was completely out. And that reminds me, I still need to buy some. But then you just mix this all in. I also forgot at this point, I should have added baking powder, and I forgot until I mixed it. So I had to add the baking powder afterwards, which is okay, but it was probably best to add the baking powder in with the dry ingredients before I added the wet ingredients. But I'm not a huge baker, so you live and you learn. But then once I got it all mixed, I added my overripe frozen banana, and I added these one at a time and mixed it in till it was like at a consistency that I like. Just basically the same consistency as a like box cake mix or muffin mix. Really easy to do. Looking back, these were good, but they definitely needed more sugar. I don't know why I didn't add any sugar substitute or like molasses syrup, anything like that. It really could have used that benefit. These were good, they just weren't amazing. And once I got that final banana all mixed in, I just used a small cookie scoop to scoop them out directly into my um, silicone baking tins. I think I did about 2 scoops each is the whole recipe. I baked the ham and egg cups together in a 400-degree oven. The ham cups were definitely ready first. They took about 20 minutes, whereas the muffins took more like 25 minutes. But you can see the spillage of the eggs right there. That's a pretty picture of it. But I'm just checking my muffins, and that's when I realized they were a little soft and needed to go back in. But I went ahead and pulled out the ham cups. I love using this little tong to get egg cups out. It just makes it really easy. I did struggle with the first, but the other ones came out easily. Just showing you how it cooks up all around the ham. I do this with bacon as well. But I really enjoyed the ham and egg. I highly suggest you try it. Egg cups are one of the lowest points and most filling breakfasts I believe you can.
I'm giving one of the banana muffins a go. And I have to say, it's pretty good. I mean, it's different. I wouldn't want them all the time. They eat a little healthy, but I'll enjoy them this week, that's for sure.
Moving on to the first recipe for dinner preparation. And this soup is very easy to make, super low in points too. It's all based upon how much orzo you add. You could definitely reduce it. But the major prep is in the preparation of the vegetables. So if you don't mind some chopping and dicing, then you won't mind this. If you don't like a lot of chopping and dicing, you may want to go ahead and buy everything already pre-cut. So I'm just rough chopping one large white onion and then a few stalks of celery as well. I like to clean my celery underneath the sink and then additionally wipe every piece down with a paper towel. I find that celery can be quite dirty inside. So this is my preferred method. But I'm cutting everything in about 2 inches pieces, and that's because I'm actually going to use my chopper again just to get a really consistent cut on all my vegetables. Typically, I wouldn't take the time to use the chopper, but when I got a lot of it to do, that's when I really like to bring out my chopper. I'm just taking 4 cloves of garlic and giving them a smash, and I'll dice those up as well here in a minute. And the last vegetable to the soup is lots of carrots. And I do grate my carrots. I have a friend that doesn't grate hers and they're just fine. So you could save yourself some time there. But I'm probably using at least a pound of carrots. And carrots are one of my dog's favorite snacks. So I always have to give the carrot police a carrot. He comes so slow even though he's excited. I also gave the little dog one, don't worry, but I'm going to cut these carrots in about the same size as I have the other vegetables. I am long slicing them as well because I don't know if I can do the large of carrots in my chopper. And here comes the fun part, just putting everything into my mini chopper and giving a slap. I did this smaller insert for the garlic, and then I'm actually going to change it to a larger insert for the carrots, onions, and celery. This takes a little time, but it actually goes quicker than you may think. You really do have to press quite hard on the carrots though. I'm having trouble with my lid moving. I need to investigate that farther and see what I'm doing wrong if I'm not locking it in place correctly. So let me speed you through this part. So once I got all my vegetables chopped up, it was about, I think, 4 cups of vegetables or so. I went ahead and started preparing my chicken. I watched it and then was giving it a clean. I'm going to eat the breast you see there, and my husband's actually going to go ahead and have the thighs. And that meat is also for 2 meals. The diced chicken is for the soup, whereas the whole chicken breast and thighs is going to be used in my second meal prep. So I'm just seasoning up the diced chicken with some Italian seasoning. It's one you have to grind up, in some salt and cracked pepper. And then I'm just going to give this a saute. I did add a drizzle of oil to the pan to get it going. But while that gets going, I'm going to go ahead and clean my kale, which will also go in the soup. So tons of vegetables for the soup. Gotta love it. And that's the way I like to clean my kale. Just slide my knife along the stem. I absolutely hate kale stems, so make sure you clean it well. After the meat was all cooked up, pretty much 100% done, probably like 70% done, I went ahead and removed it from the pot and started cooking all my vegetables. And I did give them probably like a 5 to 10 minute saute before adding the bone broth for the soup. I just think it tastes better if they get that saute in them rather than just straight boiling them in the liquid. I used a whole carton of bone broth, and I have to say, this is my first time using bone broth. I thought it would taste just like regular chicken stock. It did not. It had a little bit of a flavor I wasn't sure I liked, so may want to check out your stock before you make a soup on that. But I just covered it and I let it simmer for right around 20 minutes before adding the orzo. And I did 1 cup of orzo, but of course you can add however much you like. That's just how much I added for a 6 serving pot. And then once the orzo's in, you just follow the directions on your orzo. I think mine was like 10 minutes. And at this time, I also went ahead and folded in a good heaping of kale. I would say it was half a batch. And the last step of this soup is fresh squeezed lemon. I squeeze a whole lemon directly in it to give it the lemony flavor, and it makes it delicious. The soup comes in at 6 points per serving, and that is for 1/4 of that pot. If you wanted to get your points down, you could use a smaller serving, or you could reduce the amount of orzo. The last dinner recipe was way outside my comfort zone because besides zucchini and yellow squash, we don't eat a lot of squash varieties. And I struggled peeling this spaghetti squash like no other. I will hardly ever pay for like pre-cut and pre-prepared fruits and vegetables, but I think if I had another recipe with spaghetti squash, I would definitely be tempted because it took me forever. And then I came up with another problem when I got to the center and it had all the seeds. I thought I was going to very easily, just like a cantaloupe, scoop them out. Turns out, not so much. It's more like struggling with a freaking pumpkin. You could see, even after trying to scoop them out, they're all still stuck. I could not get them out. So at this point, I decided I was just going to cut around the seed pod. You'll have to let me know. Is there an easier way to do this? What am I doing wrong? Do I need a certain tool or what? Because we ended up really loving the spaghetti squash, but man, I don't know if it was worth the hassle at all. Again, I used my chopper to dice up the spaghetti squash and then season it up with a little bit of olive oil, salt, and pepper, followed by cumin. And cumin's so difficult to shake out, is it not? I swear. But the last thing I also added was smoked paprika. I believe I also added cayenne, and some reason that's not recorded. I know I added cayenne. But I just poured this huge bowl of spaghetti squash out on a lined sheet pan. Sorry for the focus there. I think it was focusing on me versus the food for some reason. I put the squash into a preheated 400-degree oven to start cooking, and then went ahead and seared off my chicken breasts and thighs. And I kept it real simple and just seasoned them with salt and pepper. I just wanted to give them some color. I will actually finish cooking them in the oven. After 10 minutes, I went ahead and gave all my squash a turn. And since I wasn't too familiar with squash, I was just checking it for tenderness. It cooked quicker than I actually expected it, but I'm just going to rotate the pan so I can make room to add my chicken. Now for the yummy part of the dinner, the sauce. It's super simple, but it was so flavorful. The base is sour cream, and of course I use light sour cream, and I'm making enough for 4 portions. So I just went into the app and toggled to see what I could get the best bang for my buck. And then I'm measuring that out on the scale. I can't quite read my scale to remember exactly what the weight that was. And then to the sour cream, I add 1 small can of fire roasted green hatch chilies. I thought these would be hard to find, but they weren't. They were just in like the diced jalapeno section. And then the final ingredient of this sauce is ranch seasoning. It calls for 1 packet, but I didn't have the packets. I just have the big jar. So I just did a good hearty portion. And this is an old meal delivery service recipe. So if I can find it, I'll also link it in the description with the other recipes I have as well. So my husband's plate will be the one with the chicken thighs and mine with the breast. But it made a ton of vegetable, and I thought I would miss not having an additional side, but it really didn't bother me at all. I feel like with the sauce, it gave it enough variety. And then you do also top the spaghetti squash with feta cheese, and I'm using regular feta because the fat-free feta was like 3 times as much. And here you'll see I'm using my scale in my app to toggle to get the best bang for my buck. And for this particular brand, that actually was 14 grams for 1 point. So I made sure I got all 14 grams. And then I did the same thing for the pumpkin seeds that also go on top of the squash. I could eat 12 grams of pumpkin seeds for 2 points. And that was like a lot to put on top of the squash. So I went ahead and put me a little side of the pumpkin seeds just to snack on with the meal. And then top it off with the yummy sauce. And there's your meal. And this was absolutely delicious. And all in all, with the ingredients I used, it was only a 4 point dinner. It is 0 points for the chicken breast, 1 point for the crumbled feta, 0 points for the butternut squash, two for the pumpkin seeds, and one for the sour cream. Such a yummy low point meal. May have it again here soon. So it took me at least probably like 3 hours to meal prep all these, but I will say it set me up for success that week. However, it was exhausting, and I'm not sure how many more weeks I'll be doing this much meal prep. It was just a little much for me. And looking at it from here, it doesn't look like that much work, but man, it really was. Perhaps in the future, I'll do simpler meals. Thanks, y'all.